Hey, welcome. I am Kath Nolan, once high-performing perfectionist good girl turned goddess of balance, kicking even bigger goals. This is the podcast where we make balance doable for busy, overstretched working women. Embracing your voice, your feminine power and energy allows you to truly step into greatness for the sake of you and all you hold dear. This is balance. The episode you're about to hear is one of my earliest episodes when the podcast was called Don't Be Asked and our focus was on building courage. Since then, you have evolved and so have I. You have fierce courage when it comes to others. And now it's time to balance what you're willing to do for others with what you're willing to do for yourself. Let's go, my friend. Let's bring balance into your life. Justine Martin. Oh my God. Queen of Resilience. I'm so excited. I have waited with huge anticipation for this chat. So my fellow co-author buddy in Courage and Confidence.
Yes.
And you've been so busy since then. I'm so excited to have this chat with you. How are
I'm
you?
excited too. Oh, well, look, do you want the honest truth or do you want, the truth, the fluffy answer?
Tell us where you are.
So the fluffy answer would be, oh yeah, I'm fine, I'm great. The world is fantastic. My health is great. The real answer is I'm shit. I've got a lot going on at the moment. As you know, I've got a biopsy, bone marrow biopsy on Tuesday. And after nearly 2 years of waiting to have my surgery on my arm through DV, I'm getting that fixed next Friday. So I'll be in plaster for 6 weeks and then splint for another 6 weeks and then back to hand therapy and a splint on and off until it repairs. So I've had a constant sinus infection since having COVID in February. So we're up to like 10 months of sinus infections, and that's really wearing me down, even though I'm the queen of resilience. Because antibiotics aren't working and I'm histamine intolerant now, which comes with its own set of problems that I can't eat most of the food on the planet, and making my social life crunch a little bit. So that's the long answer on how I am, but we keep smiling and we keep getting out of bed every morning and we keep putting one foot in front of the other, and it will get you to your goals and your dreams, and it is definitely to mine, because I've been quite busy, as you know, since Courage and Confidence came out, which was March. I think we launched it in March, didn't we?
Yes.
Yeah. Wow, feels like a lifetime ago, actually.
It does, doesn't it?
I don't know about your world. So.
Yeah, it completely does. Hey, I wanted to chat with you about disability, but I can't not ask another question first. Justine, so Queen of Resilience.
Yes.
How do you feel there's extra pressure, given that you work in resilience? Do you feel there's extra pressure when you're going through stuff? Do you feel like there's extra pressure to look and be a certain way? Do you feel as though you should be extra positive? Because I'm so glad that you're not. I'm so glad that you just tell it as you do, as it is.
Look, I like to think that I'm authentic, and if I'm having a bad day, you can follow me on social media, on Facebook under just Justine Martin. My own personal profile is out to the world as well as all the other ones. It's more on my personal profile that I'm having a bad day or something's gone wrong in my life, I am authentic and I will share it, and I will say that it's shit. And, quite often I will cry on camera, and they are authentic tears, and I do get emotional and I do get angry, and it's not so much, the why me thing. I'm way past that now over the last 12 years. It's like, oh God, how much more can I take? How much more can one person tolerate? And then it's like, okay, let's just stop and let's just breathe and let's just reset and think, okay, look for the positives in this.
Yeah.
Don't always go to the negative all the time. And that's, when you're diagnosed with something or you're facing an adversity, we instantly go to the worst case scenario on this could happen. Now, I'm facing a diagnosis of mast cell activation syndrome. And so my immune system is effectively attacking itself again. And there's 4 different types. And the worst type is like a leukemia with it. And a life expectancy of 2 to 3 years. And I went, okay, well, that's not the one that I've got. That can't be the one that I've got. Let's look at the best case scenario. And that's the one. If it's going to be something, that's the one that's going to be, not that one. So it's about changing your mindset as well. And that's my coping strategy on things. Resilience doesn't mean that you instantly bounce back. That's not resilience. Resilience means that you have the coping mechanisms put in place that it's easier to come back from it.
Yeah.
So, I developed the 10 top tips to resilience, and I practice the 10 top tips. That's how I developed them. That's how I live my life. Having routine, having strategies there, self-care is really important. And then that helps build up the resilience in facing whatever the adversity that you're actually about to face again. But, I did joke when, I found out I had to have the bone. This is number 4 for bone marrow biopsy. So I know what I'm in for. And I'm like, I do not need any more material to write another chapter in a book or another whole book. I'm chockers with material now. It's like, please, no more. But then I've always believed that my story is someone else's survival guide. And in saying that, it's okay, all right, well, I'm meant to go through this so I can help other people. And that's where it is. But I do crumple. I am human like everyone else, and I do have bad days, but they're a bad day. They're not a bad week or a bad month or a bad year. Well, some would look at them and go, geez, you're having a really bad year. But, there's so much good there as well. And there's so much positivity that's happening in my world. It's unbelievable. And I'm on a bit of a snowball effect at the moment with that. And there's a few hiccups, and I like to think that they're just hiccups. And out of those adversities, big things happen, big changes, and quite often good things. The universe will shift you from something that you're not meant to be in, or you're not meant to be doing, and it'll just guide you for it. So look at the positivity in everything that you're doing. Even if you can't see it at that particular time, it'll come evident to you down the pathway.
Justine, you are the way that I know. So I know you as an advocate for resilience, not necessarily an advocate for disability, but disability is something that you live with. And I wanted to have this chat with you about what exactly, how disability can add to, both the person's individual experience of that, but also the systems that we operate in that make things harder for people who do live with disability, disabled people. How are things different? How are things harder? I see the bits and pieces to me, like Brisbane Airport last week. How is life different for people with disabilities? Well,
able-bodied society don't really consider disability society. International Day of Disability, and I teach disabled clients art wellness classes. I have I own a cleaning business, and we service NDIS clients, so disability clients. And I also do resilience consulting for disability clients paid through NDIS. So I have 3 avenues of disability clients coming into me. And yesterday, when I knew that I was doing this podcast, I sat down with the guys in the studio, and I said to them, how do you feel about International Day of Disability? And because I know how I feel about it. And they're like, wouldn't it be nice that we didn't actually need it? Wouldn't it be nice that just society treated us all the same? That we're all same, but we're all different. And unfortunately, in our world, that doesn't happen. Now, I have a disability with my arm at the moment, and it's in a splint, and you would be surprised how many times throughout the day that people are rude, and I say rude because they'll say, what did you do to your arm? What did you do to your arm? And they feel it's their right to ask someone who's disabled in any way, shape, or form when they look at them, if you're in a wheelchair, or what have you done? What's wrong with you? Now it's up to that disabled person, or that person, let's say, whether they want to share what their disability is. Not everyone's like me and put it out to the world to educate people on what it's like living with a disability. Some people are very private. They don't want to share why they're in a wheelchair. They don't want to share why they have to use a mobility aid. And that's okay. They don't have to. But wouldn't that be nice if society just treated us all equal? My problem as well is that when I haven't got the arm brace on and I'm using a disability car park, I get abused because I don't look disabled. I have a chronic illness that leaves me using mobility aids at times, but I suffer with really bad fatigue, which is a disability in itself. And, I can walk into the shops and I'm fine when I walk in there. But I know that if I'm walking around in there for a good hour or 2 or 3, that I am really going to struggle to get back to the car. And I'll need to sit in various stages in the supermarket or the shopping centre to get back to the car. And I get abused. If you've got a permit on the car, you have a disability and you're allowed to park there. Now, the international symbol for disabilities needs to be changed. Because the international sign for disabilities is a person in a wheelchair.
It is.
And we don't all use wheelchairs. But we still require those car parks. Getting to those car parks. It is not, I've only got 5 minutes, I'll just use it. Because that poor disabled person is driving around, or their carer's driving around with them, and you're parked in that disabled car park and you're not disabled. And I quite often say to people that tell me off for parking in there, it's like, hey mate, you can have this disabled car park, but it's a package deal. You don't have I'm sorry, it doesn't come by itself. It's a whole package. You take the chronic disease with it. So it's and like being in a wheelchair, because I am a wheelchair user at times as well. Society's not built for wheelchairs. My chair quite often can't get up and down a gutter, and I'm lucky and fortunate now that NDIS has actually paid for wheels, electronic wheels on my chair, so it converts from a manual to electric wheelchair. And a motorized wheelchair, let's not say electric chair.
Let's not.
A motorized chair. And it was $17,000. So even the expense of disability products is ridiculous. But as soon as you mention the word disabled or disability, they put the prices up. It's like, I can compare this to a wedding venue or a venue, a function hire centre. You can hire it for an 18th or 21st and it might be $1,000. As soon as you say it's for a wedding, it's $2,500. It's the same with disability. As soon as you say that word, the prices skyrocket. Like my chair was custom made for me because I'm exceptionally tall and have a really long thigh bone, and I had a wider butt than what I have now. And so and so it had to be made for me because I didn't fit comfortably into an average chair. And so that cost $6,500. For that, just the wheelchair. And that was a manual chair. Then it cost another $11,000 to make it motorized. Ridiculous prices. I know some motorized chairs, they cost more than the average family car. I've got a girlfriend that's got a chair that costs $45,000.
Oh, wow.
It's exorbitant. So, it'd just be really nice to live in a world where everything and everyone is accepted. Your disabilities without being rude and having to ask someone. If someone wants to share, they'll tell it to you. I know because my mum had MS and she had a walking stick, and this was back in the early 80s. And I can remember people asking her if she'd been in a car accident. She walked with a limp. And so it's been going on for, generations of it. But like, and getting back to, you know, being in a chair, there's so many venues that are not disability friendly. You know, I've been to DFO in Southwark in Melbourne in a chair, and it's terrible. You can't get in between any of the clothes racks. People who are not disabled, and you know this because they're taking children in with prams and everything, are using disabled toilets. Staff members using disabled toilets. They're there because when you're disabled, in a lot of cases, you can't wait to go to inline to the general toilet, or you need the handrails and the extra cleaning and the hoists in disabled toilets to actually go. And I've found as well that, like, if I'm in the chair, people yell at you. Are you right there, love?
Oh, no.
My legs don't work, but my ears still do.
Wow.
Yeah, and people, like, if someone's pushing me, you know, I've had partners in the past push me in the chair before I got the motorized wheels. I can push myself to a certain degree, then this arm khakis out, so my good arm at the moment khakis out, and I end up pushing myself in circles. So that's why they gave me the chair, so I got, you know, more independence back. But if someone's pushing me, they'll look at that person first, then they'll look at me, and then they give them a sympathy look. Oh, you poor thing, your partner's disabled.
Oh my goodness.
It's horrible. Don't do it. Don't do it. Smile at someone that's in a chair. You know, just smile at them. Don't make eye contact and then look away. Oh, they're disabled, I can't look at them. And we see it. We see it all the time. If someone's in a wheelchair, this nerks me like you would not believe. If someone's in a wheelchair, get out of the bloody way. We can't stop that chair in a hurry. If your child, or if you walk in front of us, we will hit you. All right, through no fault of ours, through a fault of yours, because we can't stop instantly. When you're walking, you can stop and you'll let someone go past, or, you know, you navigate around each other. It does not happen when you're in a wheelchair. I think everyone should be in a wheelchair for at least a week, just to see what it's like. You know, there's some venues that don't have disability access into them. I can't go in there because I can't get up the steps. And I was recently at a function, and they all decided that they'd go up this massive staircase. And I just looked at it and I went, there is no way I can get up and down that. It was at the end of the night and I was really fatigued, and I went, I can't get up there. And if I do get up there, how the hell am I going to get down? I'd have to come down on my bum, because I knew what my capacity was, and I knew how fatigued I was, and I knew what my legs were doing, and I was in massive pain anyway. I was shooting out electricity out of my feet. And I went, no, that's a no-go zone. I can't do it. And they'd all gone up the steps, so I couldn't even tell them that I was going. And I sent a message saying, great night, sorry, couldn't get up the steps. I'll catch you next time. And she sent back a message saying, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I forgot. And she generally forgot. And you know, it won't happen again. And yeah, so it's hard. It's like really hard. And if I'm at functions or whatever, I have to look around and see where the toilet is, in case I need an emergency dash, because sometimes my bladder and bowel will just decide to go even though I don't want them to. And I've got to look and see if there's chairs around. It's like, well, you know, Juzzy's got to sit. I've just got to have a pause for a few minutes and then recoup some energy, and then I'm good to go again. And there's a thing that's called the spoon theory. Have you ever heard that?
No, I haven't.
All right, so a lot of us that have fatigue issues use the spoon theory. So, Catherine, you've probably got 50 spoons. So the spoons convert, oh, nice teacup. The spoons convert into energy. So you would start your day with 50. I would start my day with 20. Now, we have very similar, you know, things that we have to do throughout the day. And just even having this conversation now uses spoons. So let's say that it uses 2 spoons having this conversation. Right? How many spoons do you have left?
I've got 48.
And how many have I got left?
You got 18.
Okay. So having a shower uses a spoon, getting out of bed uses spoons, talking uses spoons, cooking uses spoons, everything uses spoons. But I only start with 20 and you start with 50.
Yeah.
Now I can't, when I have used up all my spoons, I can't pluck them from anywhere else.
Yeah.
Well, I can, but then the next day I start in a deficit.
Yeah.
All right. Now, have you ever been awake longer than 24 hours?
Rarely. Once or twice, yeah.
And what happens when you've been awake for 24 hours or more?
So you can kind of cope. Your brain gets foggier. You can cope because you've got adrenaline, but then like even probably the second day, like the second day after that, I'm toast.
Yeah. And that's what it's like living with fatigue every single moment of every single day. It doesn't change. It can get worse. Get worse. And the one thing that ticks me off is like people say, "Oh, go and have a sleep." No, because I'll wake up exactly the same. And it's not, for me, it's not like, "Oh, I'm so tired, I need to have a sleep." It's like I have no energy that I can even pick up the cup and put it to my mouth to drink.
Yeah.
I have no energy left in my body to actually keep it warm. So I am quite often so cold.
Yeah.
Because I don't have the energy in my body to keep it at 36 degrees.
Yeah.
What is it, 36.5 or 36.7 or something. I'm pretty much always 35.5.
Yeah.
If not a bit lower as well. And so I get cold. And I know when I'm really fatigued and when I've pushed the boundary for me is that I'm cold to the bone and I have to run my hands under hot water to try and get some heat back into them. And then often that's not enough. And I'll have to strip off and hop in a shower and have a shower chair there. And I sit there under the warm water to bring my core body temperature back up because I just don't have the energy. But it's an effort to get in the shower and I'm dressed to do that. And then it's a bigger effort to then get dressed again.
Yeah.
So that's when I'll just throw a dressing gown on and lay on the bed and throw some blankets on me and then wait until my energy has come back up and rested. So, a typical day, I try and rest. For those that are watching this on the video, you'll see that my lounge room's behind me, and my lounge, that's effectively my office.
Yeah.
No one says that you have to sit at a desk and do it. I've got a beautiful office in the other room, but I very rarely sit there because I find it extremely uncomfortable and it uses more energy to sit at that chair than what it does to sit in the lounge and put my feet up.
Yeah.
And like the TV's not often on, and I just sit there with my laptop on my lap, and I work from the lounge. So you do what works for you.
Yeah.
Don't do what society says that you should do, because it doesn't accommodate people with disabilities.
So thank you for sharing. I'm really grateful you shared that insight so generously. Thank you. Tell me, how do we, from my experience, I get frustrated with design, that design's not built for the end user. So like, for example, you go into the bathrooms and they've now got those hand dryers that are like in front of the sinks. So you've got to bend over, but it's not designed, like it's designed by a guy who's never carried a handbag or shopping bags. So like you've got to bend over to put your hands in these things and your handbag's falling off and the water's like the floor is a puddle of water. So you can't put your bag down anywhere.
And they spray you back with water in your face.
Yes.
Private hot spot.
Yeah. So like there are so many bits of design that are not made for the end user. And my mind boggles at how do we, especially with how do we get the designers of our world to be more cognizant of the end users, particularly when, as you say, a lot of people who do live with disability, those disabilities aren't obvious. So they may not be as visible
Look, I think it is slowly
Yeah.
changing.
Yeah,
I've
that's
got
good.
I've got a friend who owns a disability support what do you call it? See, this is a cog fog moment,
Yeah.
as I like to call them, MS brain farts. Handrails that are designer handrails,
Yeah.
right? So
So they don't look like hospital ones.
they don't look like hospital. And so he's in Melbourne, and he's getting his brand out there, and there's a few more that are coming onto the market that, really nice shower chairs that flop down and don't look like shower chairs, and the hospital big handrails. Like, I had handrails put in the front of my house and into and out of my studio, and they just wanted to put this galvanized rusting thing, and I went, you're not putting that on my house.
Yeah.
No way, that will devalue it. I said, can I get it powder coated?
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah. And he goes, if you pay the difference. And I went, yep, I'll pay the difference.
Yeah.
Because it'll look nicer. So I've got them powder coated black.
Beautiful.
And that's not a color that, galvanized. Like, who wants a galvanized bloody pipe in the middle of your house?
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, it's, making people aware and, what's available and what are my options, and asking the questions and getting OTs on board, and any new buildings and that need to instantly have wider door frames to get wheelchairs through. And I bought this house about 6 years ago, and I came in and I brought my chair. I pushed my chair through the house to see if I could maneuver it through the house.
Yeah.
And looked and went, okay, if I need to have modifications done to my bathroom, is it going to be easily done?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I could knock out that wall where my wardrobe is, and that could then become a whole big disability friendly bathroom, and then one of my bedrooms could become my wardrobe, which I still might do before
that sounds gorgeous.
Well, my clothes collection is getting rather large nowadays. That's all the media appearances. I tell everyone I've got to keep buying new clothes. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it.
I love it.
I think, when someone's refurbishing or redesigning, that it needs to become Australian practice and law that it then is full disability friendly.
Yes.
For it. So, and how do I put this? If there's a disabled bathroom in your premises, in a business, it is a disabled bathroom. It is not a storage room for all the high chairs or all the other crap that you don't know where to put.
Oh my goodness.
Let's go in there in a wheelchair. We cannot maneuver around in it for all the other crap that you have stored in it. And I'm pretty sure it's illegal to actually do that as well. So there's my gripe on just the little things that, someone who's able-bodied would not realize that, we encounter. But I think now any new buildings that go up have to have lifts. They have to have an elevator in them. The older buildings, some of them can't have them in them. But if you're having a function, you're organizing a function, make sure it's disability friendly. All right, make sure it's disability friendly. And I consider having food intolerances as a disability.
I was just thinking about our conversation about the food intolerances and I was thinking about, like, people don't know, like, if it's beyond their experience, people don't know how serious it is. And we were talking yesterday about the fact that, if people don't know, they can be so offhand about it. And you can ask them, is this, free of whatever it is that you can't eat? But they sometimes will kind of go, yeah, I think so. As you said, that I think so. And then when you push, they'll come back and check and find that actually it's not okay.
What I said the other night about, the entree got put in front of me, and I looked at the corn puree, and I knew that it had lactose in it.
Yeah.
And I said to the waiter, oh, is that lactose free? Oh, yeah, I think so. I said, well, can you go and check?
Yeah.
And then the next thing, my plate got whisked away. Now, what if I hadn't checked?
Yeah.
And he'd said, oh, yeah, it is. Now, I won't have a full anaphylactic shock from that at this stage, but within about half an hour, I would have a migraine so bad that I would need an ambulance called and taken to hospital because I'm a hemiplegic migraine sufferer. And lactose does that to me. And it is a histamine response from it. Now, one day, I am going to have an anaphylactic from it. And that's scary. And don't say that something is if you're not entirely sure about it. And because that is a disability for the person that is sitting there.
Yeah.
And you may not consider it a disability.
Yeah, that's
it is. It is. And although it's only minor, you're no longer an abled body like everyone else.
Yeah.
That's what, I consider it. You have minor disabilities and then you go through to your major disabilities. But you got to be really, really careful. So I guess people have to be careful when they're doing things, not to put disabled people in harm.
So I guess the thing is, you don't ask what someone's disability is. You don't question it. You just respond to their question honestly and assume that they need to know an honest answer.
Yes, and don't judge them.
Yeah.
They're the ones that live in their body every single minute of every single day, and they know. They know what they can have. They know what they're capable of doing. Not the person that's standing there that's only just met them.
Yeah.
All right. Because I've gone brain fart. Sorry.
Sorry. Sorry. That was my fault.
You should see me as a keynote speaker when I'm up doing my talk, and I tell everyone when I start, it's like I'm going to lose track where I am. I'm going to be halfway through a sentence, and then all of a sudden, poof, it's gone. And you're going to have to listen really, really carefully to tell me where I'm up to so you can bring me back in.
I love that.
I'm going to be testing your listening skills throughout tonight. I tell you, it's going to happen.
I love it.
A little bit of humor goes a long way as well. And you got to laugh at it. What's the emotions I can have from it? I can laugh from it, or I can sit there and cry. I can get really, really angry. And the other two take too much energy, so it's easier to.
Yeah, it is so much.
And I don't have that energy.
Months ago, what was that?
I don't have that amount of energy to spare on being negative and getting angry.
Sounds like a smart move. So many lessons from you. Del, we spoke months ago about just this question of how do you get other people to see more of what they don't see, and especially I think I said to you, we were standing in our gorgeous dresses and our gorgeous ball gowns, all sparkly and like bright-eyed, and you just come off the back of some fantastic wins, more fantastic wins, and I said to you, how do we get the next generation to know more? How do we get kids to be more accepting of others? And you kind of went, oh, here's the one I prepared earlier. I've just written a book. Oh my God.
I have.
How good.
I've just written a book, a children's book called Same but Different. And it's all about inclusion, and it's all about equality, because we need to start on the next generation that's coming through. And for me, that's my grandchildren, in treating everyone the same. We're all same, but we're all different. And it doesn't matter if we use a mobility aid, if we're from another country, if we speak a different language, if we've got different color eyes, if our noses are bigger or smaller, if one's tall, one's short. We are all living, breathing creatures, and we all deserve to be treated the same.
Yeah. And
it's about voicing that, speaking up, educating, and being kind to each other.
Yeah.
How can we be kind anymore? Why does everything have to have an ulterior, nasty motive?
Yeah.
I've written and illustrated this children's book. It's available on my website at justinemartin.com.au, and it is going on Amazon and all the major platforms in the next month. And it's just a simple book. Someone says, I get asked quite often, what age is it designed for? And I go from 0 to 99.
Yeah.
Everyone will get something out of it.
Yeah.
If you're sitting there reading it to your child, you'll get something out of it. You'll be reminded. You know, the child will sit there and they can look at the pictures. You know, if they can't read, they'll look at the pictures and they'll take those pictures in with her. And the main character throughout the story is my dachshund Pansy. And if you're watching the video, you would have seen her walking around in the background. I'm surprised she's trying to get on my lap like she normally does, because she likes to of attention. And yeah, she treats everyone equally, and she's the studio dog. And you know, she'll my disability clients, when they come in, they absolutely love her. She treats them the same as what she does with the able-bodied clients that come in a different session. And yeah, she knows no different. And wouldn't it be nice if that was society? Yeah, wouldn't it be nice?
So true.
She'll lick you and pee on you regardless if you've got a disability or not.
Yeah.
And that was the core of the book, was not her peeing on everyone, but she just treats everyone the same, but different. And my 3-year-old grandson, he runs around all the time going, same, Nan. And that's where the whole idea came from. And yeah, it'd just be nice to go out and be treated the same as everyone else without being judged for having a disability, or in my case, judged because I don't look like I've got a disability. Like, people say to me, oh, you don't look like you've got that. Well, no, because I put a lot of bloody effort into the way that I look.
Yeah.
And that in itself is its own disability.
Yeah.
Why should I have to justify and fight?
Yeah.
Because I don't look like I've got a disability.
Yeah.
And that's, I go out and educate people. And that's another thing that we can do is, you know, those of us that do have disabilities and that are prepared to do it, like me, is go and educate the wider community. And that's why I go out and do keynote speaking and educating, you know, in corporate. Okay, well, you know, you'll have staff members that are here that are disabled. You may not know because they haven't disclosed it because they have fear of losing their jobs.
Yeah.
You know, as someone who has MS, every 12 months, I have to have my license assessed.
Every 12 months, really?
Every 12 months. I have to go and have an assessment. Do you know how humiliating that is?
Yeah.
And even to have NDIS, every 12 months you have a plan review, and you have to prove your disability every 12 months. I think I'm on 2 years at the moment. Every 2 years I have to prove that I need my disability car parking permit. So that's a lot of time that's taken up just to prove that you're disabled. Being on a disability pension, if you're under the age of 35, I think it was, you had to prove regularly that you still needed to be on it. Now, there's no cure for a lot of these diseases. Like, there's no cure for MS. And everyone knows that, you know, you'll never be 100% when you've got MS from the time that you're diagnosed. So even remitting relapsing, you never go back to being, you know, able-bodied. You'll always have some scar tissue, and there'll always be some ongoing problems, and that will get worse over time. So why in the hell should we have to prove that, you know, we're going to be cured? There is no cure. So why do we need to go and prove that, oh, well, I'm still disabled, can you please still give me some money?
Yeah.
It'd be different if there was if you had something that was short term. Yeah, I could understand that. But when they're long-term incurable diseases, the stress that then puts on you to prove and justify again is ridiculous.
It's it consumes a lot of those 20 spoons, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sure does. And unnecessarily.
Yeah.
And then throw in there, you know, you're trying to go somewhere and eat and you can't get your wheelchair in, or there's steps and you can't get up the steps because there's no handrail, and it's a different world. When you're disabled, it's a totally different world that we live in than able-bodied people with their blinkers on. We're wide open to the world and we see it all, whereas when you're able-bodied, you just live in your lane and don't see anything else around you. Until you stare at that person. And then until you ask that person, oh, what's wrong with you? What did you do? Did you fall over drunk?
Oh, no.
And I'm like, no, actually, domestic violence.
Mm.
Oh, sorry. I'm not going to cushy it all up for them.
Mm.
I'm authentic. I'll tell it how it is.
Yeah.
Be authentic in life and help other people, be kind to other people, and know that, not everyone is as able-bodied as what you may be.
Yeah.
That's my little spiel for today.
Oh, Justine, there's I think that there is so much that we haven't talked about because we were focused on this particular topic. There's a whole bunch of stuff we didn't talk about. Like for anyone who's listening to this and then checks out your website, I'll have the website attached to the podcast. And the book that we wrote, your stories in the book, you just have you've had phenomenal accolades. You are multi-award winning as a coach, as a speaker, as an artist, multi-award winning artist. You're a best-selling author. Now, the illustrator, and I can't wait to see how this one goes, the children's book. So for all of that, though, like you have a rocket ride for all of the stuff that you carry with you, for the limited number of spoons that you have. You had an absolute rocket ride, travel around the country with your speaking gigs. And what's your highlight? What's your favorite part?
Being a nana.
Oh, how beautiful.
Look, it all is, 11 years ago, I was told I'd never be able to work again. Yeah. Here I am running 6 businesses, and, I have a lot of help. It's not just me. I have staff and I have disability supports and that as well. Thank goodness for NDIS. And the highlight is that I'm still here and I'm still living every day. And that I do tick off my bucket list. I do have big goals and dreams and visions, and I am working towards them despite, the adversities that I face on a daily matter. My mum used to say to me as a child, there's no such word as can't.
Yeah.
And I suppose that's become my motto, Catherine, is that there's no such word as can't. You just have to learn how you can possibly do it.
Yeah.
You have to modify to what, an able-bodied person can do, or you have to modify because you know what you're capable of doing, and don't ever listen to someone else's false beliefs because they're not yours. And, that was the doctor's false belief in saying you're never going to be able to work again. And I listened to it for a long time, and I went down the black hole, and then I'm like, well, no, he doesn't know me. He doesn't know what I'm capable of and what I can still do. And that's, I've got a lot more to tick off on my bucket list. I can assure you. And, I've got some big things happening in the next 12 months, and potentially, TEDx in Ireland at the end of next year, and, traveling overseas. But in order for that to happen, then there's a lot of things, there's a lot of steps that you don't see prior to, like, awards nights like us in Sydney and the one in Queensland just now. And I have to look at my planner and go, okay, well, I've got this big function. I'm going to have a light few days before it and leading up to it, and then on the back end of it all, not put too much in the diary so I can rest and recuperate. But in saying that, me resting and recuperating is sitting on that lounge behind me, and I'm still able to type and to do stuff.
Working in a different way.
So, my resting isn't everyone else's resting. But to me, with everything that's happened, because, I've faced having cancers, 3 primary cancers at once, and that I know that time is the most precious commodity on the planet. You can't buy it, sell it, reuse it, borrow it, or I've gone blank. Read it in one of my books. On it. So, be careful on who you spend it on and what you spend it on. Don't put off tomorrow what you can do right now. And I don't procrastinate. Do you procrastinate? Because I don't. I get the shitty things done that I don't want to do first, which then leaves time for the good things. And it's like, well, in order for me to achieve A, I have to do la, 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 all the way through that. And I do it and I follow through with it. And that's one thing that I've learned in the last 11 years is to follow through and complete and do it and don't procrastinate. I got interviewed and wrote a good article in the Outlook, NTIS Annual Outlook magazine, all on procrastination.
Yeah.
And we all procrastinate far, far too much, and we build mountains out of little molehills when we could have done it. And if it is outside your scope, I've learned to outsource. If I can't do that and I can't work out how to do it, I ask for help. And generally people don't ask for help. So that's another thing that I would suggest you do. If you can't do it yourself, outsource it. Ask for help. Get the help, and then that'll help you achieve the bigger picture.
So
there you
go. Absolute superstar. You're an absolute hands down superstar. Thanks so much for chatting with me. I'm sure that this will be a really useful conversation for whoever hears it, and especially this week with International Day of Disability, people with a disability. I hope that is another reason for disabilities being on the agenda for everybody who, whether they experience them or don't.
Yeah, and treat people the same but different.
Same but different. Thank you, Dal.
You're welcome.
I believe that women do help other women. I hope that this episode has empowered you to question your willingness to go last. I hope that you will embrace balance, and I'm also hoping that you will help me to help other women to do the same. So how can you help? Show your support for the work. Subscribe and review the podcast here where you're listening. Follow the Goddess of Balance on Instagram to catch some cheeky behind the scenes and extras. Connect with me on LinkedIn and share the posts with your network. That would be sensational. If you have enjoyed this program, this episode, you will no doubt love my group coaching program. You got to find all the links to these in the little written blurb for this episode. Thank you, my friend, for normalizing balance with me. We are raising performance and reputations, wellness and equality. Together, we're creating positive change for working women, starting with you. Sincerely, I thank you for being part of the movement.